Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Dr. Laura Griffith Garland joining us here. Exciting to have her here. She's from Charleston. She has her own Reiki and Tarot company. I can't do the introduction. It's too intense. Nuclear physicist, scientist, Navy. Hi.
Hi.
She's a dear friend of the show. Love her to pieces. And we're excited to have her. So please say hello, introduce yourself. And I know we're going to pull those cards today, but she pulls her oracle cards to kind of give us an inkling of what we're supposed to talk about from above. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jill. Lovely as always to be here. Yes. Life coach, working from the spiritual perspective. I don't have to if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Also work on your health. I'm a shaman, so we also do a lot of energy work and even delve into past lives if that is something that is messing with your current life. So lots of stuff.
Great. So show us your cards. What did you pull? What's happening?
I left them in the other room, but the trio today is indecision, health, and humor. And we've never had indecision the whole time. Like for the whole last year, we've never had that card. So I've never really talked about this at all, but it is something that plagues people. Health has come up quite a bit because health is super important. So they want me to talk about it all the time. That, and I do health coaching as part of the coaching because we want you to be whole, because Charleston Reiki and Tarot is part of the umbrella company, Charleston Holistic Center. So we want you to be a whole person. And so that's come up. But humor, I think we might have had it last winter sometime, but I haven't had it since.
Okay. Interesting.
So some new energy. So this is nice. Putting this together, new, nice. Indecision. So many of us suffer with this issue, right? We have a decision to make and then we just sit there and spin and we don't do it and we don't do it and we don't do it. And it might be over simple things, and it often really comes up over larger things. But there's a myriad reasons why we don't do this. And when I pulled these cards, I was thinking about it and I was like, I think there's a couple of broad categories maybe as to why we are indecisive. And I think the first I would call people pleasing. And this one happens like usually when the decision involves a group of other people or several other people. Do you have a friend or someone in your family who, like, when you want to go out to dinner or get takeout or pick a movie, they always say, I don't know. And then they'll just follow it up with either like, why don't you just pick? Or whatever you decide is just fine.
Yeah. So that's the people pleaser.
Yeah, I'm going to call it a people pleaser. This is not like a psychological term. It's just something I made up.
Okay.
But when you really think about it, that's what it's about, right?
Okay, yeah.
They're trying to please the people around them. And I think there's kind of three breakdowns of that group. They're the people who really they really actually don't care what they choose.
Okay.
They're so eclectic in their taste, they don't really care. And they really do want everyone around them to be happy. And I think those people are probably fine, and it's not really indecision. It just looks like it from the outside.
Yep.
I think they're fine. So if you're one of those listening, you're good.
All right, good.
But then I think we have two levels below that really it is indecision. So they're the people maybe with lower self-esteem who know what they want but don't want to speak up.
Okay.
And that can be tough. And then there's a step even down from that. There are people whose self-concept is so minimal that they don't even know what they want.
Yeah.
They have just done what everybody else does so long, they don't even know what they want. And I think those last two people could really benefit from coaching.
Okay.
It might not necessarily rise to the level of needing therapy, right? But coaching. So the people who have that, life gets so tough because they just can't make any decisions. So I would say, hey, if you're one of those people out there listening, contact me or another coach, because we really can build you up so that you can know what you want.
True.
And be able to speak up and ask about it, so that you don't go into a spiral on this, because it can really be especially with the self-esteem.
Yeah.
That can be a spiral where you don't speak up and you don't speak up and you don't speak up and you feel worse and you feel worse and you feel worse. And then you have to see a therapist.
It's so true, right?
And trying to get in to see a therapist right now is like
impossible.
Impossible. I know in the Charleston area, the only therapists I know who have openings, like, just got their license just like this summer. Like, they graduated in May, like, and got their license this summer. They're the only ones with openings. Yeah. Any experienced therapist has as booked a schedule as possible.
Yeah. And
we have friends in other areas who are also therapists, and it's the same. So it doesn't really matter what part of the country you are. So I'm suggesting, if you don't want to end up in therapy, see a coach before it gets that bad. Before it gets that bad, it's so much more helpful. Then there's another category of indecision.
Yeah.
Let's call it frozen.
Yeah.
And I see this with people with OCD. When they try to make a decision that's even minimally outside of their standard routines, these people really can become frozen and can't decide. My mother-in-law is like this. She is a wonderful and lovely lady, but take her to a restaurant she has never been before.
Oh no.
Oh gosh. She gets the deer in the headlights look. And then she'll just decide to eat whatever. It's usually whatever I'm eating, but it might be someone else at the table. It might be her husband. But it's usually whatever she picks, whether she likes it or not. And I've kind of learned what she likes. So whenever we do that, I make sure to choose something that I know that she's going to like. Because that's what she does. And she can't make a decision. There is zero possibility of her choosing on her own what to eat at a restaurant she hasn't been at before. Or I should say been at least like 5 times.
Yep.
And it's, it's just, it's kind of a little bit sad with that. But the thing is, people with OCD aren't going to change without a really big push, because a lot of them really do feel like no one else does it, quote unquote, correctly. They're the only ones who do.
Yeah.
And so they won't change. And if someone's listening and they have this and it's started to really interfere in your life, I'm going to say, please get help on this. And this will require a counselor, probably. Yeah. Some coaches can work with the OCD, depending, as long as it's not in some sort of life-threatening sort of scenario. Some coaches can work with that, and coaches are more available right now than therapists, as we've said. But if you're freezing, that's stressing you out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So let's work on that. Other category of indecision, doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is where people won't make the decision because they don't want to make the wrong one.
Correct.
And I really have to ask, who has told you which is wrong and which is right?
Right.
I mean, seriously. Okay, making a decision that threatens your life. Yeah, okay, let's not do that one.
Okay.
But oh, I've made some doozies.
Yep.
Young and dumb. But then when I look back at that quote unquote wrong decision, sure, it led me through some crap.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get the bigger picture, you're like, but it led me a place I wouldn't have been otherwise. I would have never, quote unquote, done that if I hadn't made that stupid decision, quote unquote. And it was a learning, it was experiencing. And so I gotta say, just not make a decision because it might be wrong doesn't hold water now, because now we can think about it as maybe the quote unquote wrong decision is the one that leads you to a life lesson, that leads you to learn something, that leads you to grow, that leads you to become a better person.
Yeah.
Might suck while you're in it though.
Totally, but yep. Mm-hmm. Got it. Yep.
Have you done that?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yep. Been there, done that. It can be tough in it, but the hindsight leads you to understand that, hey, that decision is what actually shapes something more important. The decision that led me to stop teaching and become full-time doing what I do now. Oh man, thought that was a bad one at the time. Thought it was a really bad one. But I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't made that decision. I wouldn't be helping people the way I am now if I hadn't made that decision. And so it's only when we get a little ways away that we can look back and see what got illuminated when we made that.
Exactly.
So if you're out there going, oh God, I don't want to make the wrong decision, this is definitely something a coach can work with for you, because it's what we do. We help people through a block, because it's some sort of block that you've got going on where you're sure, quote unquote, it's wrong. So we can talk through like mitigating issues that come up. We can work with how to be ready for what could happen.
Yeah.
So this is something that coaches really can help with.
Yeah.
And if it is an energetic block of some sort, it's just holding you back, that is definitely something that we can work on, because a lot of people have that. Now, that's just one of our cards. One of the other cards was health. So how does that fit into this? So think about the last time you had to make a pretty big decision and you hadn't done it yet. You were indecisive.
Yeah.
How were you feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally? Not so good? Like a little, like,
yeah,
at least weirded out, maybe stressed out.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if the indecision is over something as simple as what to wear today to work.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, might not be such a big deal. Now, if you're going for a major interview, okay, different case.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the parent of a teenage girl, the decision what to wear to school that day,
Yeah.
it's a little different than when we're an adult. Mean Girls.
Totally. Yeah.
So, but if it's a fairly major decision and you haven't come to a conclusion, for most people, this evokes a stress response in the body.
Yeah.
An actual measurable stress response. And this is how that ties into health. When we're not making the decision, we are stressing ourselves out. I have to say, though, if you're a type A personality who are indecisive over something, they can be really stressed out because they're typically not indecisive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're out there listening and that's you, I'm going to say, hey, let's see what's blocking you, because there's something blocking you, and we gotta work on that. The people pleasers, when they don't speak up, when it's a self-esteem issue, there's that self-esteem spiral that we already talked about, and that's also really not good. So that's playing on your health right there, right? When we get into lower and lower self-esteem, it might go into depression, and that just makes a total mess of your health.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's you, let's nip this in the bud before you have to end up at a therapist. If it's the whole wrong decision thing that's causing the stress, we really got to work through the options on that, because we want to get your body out of the stress. Stress, not good. We have so many other stressors, so many other stressors. Not making a decision shouldn't be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Third card, humor.
Oh, okay, go. Humor us.
Okay. No, can't come up with jokes on the fly. I'm not Stephen Colbert.
Okay, got it.
One of the fastest ways, though, to take care of stress is humor. We've all heard, right, that humor is the best medicine, or laughter is the best medicine.
Okay.
It really actually is. It's one of it really, seriously, laughing, having fun, playing around. It turns on a whole bunch of really lovely chemicals in the body, shutting down all those stress chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
And those lovely chemicals also allow the executive center of your brain to actually come on fully. Okay, let's talk about that. When we're stressed, our body goes into fight, flight, freeze. Most of the time we just say fight, flight, but there is a third, there's freeze. That deer in the headlights, don't move, sort of, so our body goes into fight, flight, freeze, and our brain literally does this. It removes blood supply from our executive function center, our decision-making chunk, which is about right here. Literally removes the blood supply, meaning that part of the brain can't function very well. It moves it to other parts of the brain so that when you come out of freeze, you can do your fight or flight.
Got it.
But this means we're not thinking clearly.
Yeah.
And we can't make decisions very well when we're stressed.
Mm-hmm.
This is sometimes called brain fog.
Yep.
For some people, when you're continually in stress mode, this is called brain fog, and it's a positive feedback loop, which has negative results.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're stressed, we can't think well, so we're indecisive, so we're stressed, So we can't think well. So we're more indecisive. So we get more stressed.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Cyclical thing. Yep.
Yeah. It's called a positive feedback loop, which so many positive feedback loops in nature are not very positive in their result. They tend to be catch-22s.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with this. So this is why humor is so important.
Yep.
Because if we can laugh, it counteracts all of this. It shuts off those stress chemicals, takes the blood supply from the fight and flight centers to the executive center, and suddenly we become clearer.
Yeah.
We become able to think, able to make a decision. So humor's really super important. Super, super important. I tend to be a little intense. And when I was younger, I was much more intense.
Of course. Y'all. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I had to learn to add humor. Some people don't get my humor. It tends to be a little dry, kind of like British, and or puns. I have terrible puns.
I like your humor.
Thank you.
I get you.
But it's important. It's important to inject humor into things because it literally brings that executive function center online. So when I'm in that more intense place and I realize where I am, this is where funny kitten videos come really, really into play.
I love them too. I do.
Even people who don't really like cats like funny kitten videos. But if you really don't like cats, there's funny puppy videos too. Yes. So, I'm a little bit more of a cat person.
Me too.
I've got my huge black cat, Sam, and he does have really funny antics himself. So funny kitten videos. But I'm really going to just say humor added here was to also tell us to just lighten up.
Yeah.
Lighten up.
Yeah.
I have to tell myself this sometimes.
I apologize. I have a bad back, so I keep moving a lot because it's been out of whack. So don't think I'm crazy. I'm like,
maybe you need a better chair.
Yes, exactly.
Ergonomics, I work with quite a number of my clients when I'm doing my health coaching on their ergonomics, like their posture and what they're using for their chairs and their mouse and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's lighten up.
Yeah.
The card really is asking us to do that and to just realize that really, seriously, most decisions that we're making are not life and death. If you're living a kind of normal life, you're really not making life or death decisions most of the time. Now, I understand if you're in a war zone or a war-like zone, which we have some neighborhoods in the United States that are kind of like that. Most cities have some neighborhoods that are a little bit like that. If you happen to be there and listening to this, I understand some of the decisions you're making are life and death, and yeah, lightening up is just not going to happen. Right. But if that is not you,
yeah,
lighten up. For all the reasons we just talked about. It gets rid of the stress chemicals. You feel better. Your executive function comes online. The brain fog can disappear somewhat, unless you got other health issues going on. It can really happen. When I fall into this trap, I watch the funny kitten videos so that I realize I'm not in the military anymore, and this is not a reactor going super critical situation. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm asking people out there, please lighten up. Politics. People have gotten to feel like it's life or death. It's important. Yes, yes, yes. It's very important. Voting, super important. Coming up on midterms, super important. Go out there and vote.
Yeah.
But let's not end up getting ulcers.
True.
From
stress
doing
over
this.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not end up getting ulcers. Make your decision on who you're going to vote for. Make your plan and go out and do it.
Yeah.
Because that, I know, is one thing that's stressing out quite a number of people right now. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Make your plan. Do it. We got other things happening in the world. You know, some things you can change.
Mm-hmm.
Some things you can't. Some things you can make a decision about and work toward and work for. So let's do that.
Right.
And lighten up otherwise, if it's not a life or death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, teenage girls out there listening, truthfully, closed tomorrow at school are actually not life or death.
Yes, yes, very true. Yep.
They really actually aren't. But I understand mean girls. But if you're in any of the situations that we've talked about today, please feel free to contact me with what I'm going to say. We can work with you and get things going so that you don't feel like some of these decisions are life or death when they really aren't. And move forward, feel better, happier. That's what we want.
Always so positive, lifting us up here. Dr. Laura Griffith
Right.
Garland, tell us how we reach out to you, please.
Sure. You can contact the office phone at 843-259-8349, and most likely you'll still get me because I'm the one answering it. Or you can direct email at drlaura.coach. That's drlaura.coach@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, for joining us, and looking forward to the next time we speak, as always. Always a pleasure.
Always.
And so glad we got to meet again a few weeks ago. So I feel even more of a rapport with my friend here. And thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck pulling those cards for tomorrow, too.
Yes.
All right. We'll talk next week. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.